All right, boys and girls, this lesson is for lesson 2.2, angles and angle relationships. Today, we are going to work on labeling and classifying an angle when we're given a figure and describing the relationship between two angles and calculate the measurement of those angles. So let's go ahead and first talk about parts of an angle. So angles are comprised of two rays that share an endpoint, and that endpoint is called the vertex of the angle. So right here you can see that this is the endpoint that this ray shares and this ray shares. So the two rays are making up an angle, and that point is called the vertex. These two rays are called the sides of the angle. Okay, so we have the vertex, a ray, and that makes up an angle. So when we have an angle, there are three ways to name an angle. One, we can use its vertex. Okay, so let's look at this angle down here. So we have three letters. We have Q, we have R, and we have S. And remember, the vertex is the middle angle where they join together. So we can name this one angle R because its vertex is R. Another way to name it is by using the 3 points on the angle. Now it's important to remember that the vertex always has to be in the middle. Okay, so we could do angle, and that little symbol just means angle, angle Q, R, S. Now you could also do the opposite direction. You could go this way. As long as that R is in the middle, you can do angle S, R, Q. Because, right, it's the same angle whether we go this way or it's the same angle whether we go down. Okay, so that's the second way. The third way is by using a number. Now, sometimes there will be a number on your angle, and this one has the angle number 1. So we could put angle 1. Okay, so those three ways again are by its vertex, using the 3 points on the line, on the angle, and using the number if there is one. So let's go ahead and practice labeling this one. Look at number 1. What would this angle be called? Now this one does not have a number. So what could this angle be? So one of the choices, it could be angle W, X, Y. Okay, even though it does not have a number, we can also label it by its vertex. So we could do angle X because it only has one vertex, right? This is where the two rays meet up. Okay, but now we can go this way and it can be angle Y, X, W. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. In this one, there are two angles in this picture. Do you see the two angles? So let me show you if you follow my laser pointer here. There's an angle here, and there's an angle here. And that 2, for some reason, didn't copy. It was supposed to be over here, so let's just ignore that 2. So here's an angle, and here's an angle. So it's really important that you put the letters in the correct order so that we know which angle we're talking about, okay? So let's go ahead and name one of the angles. So if I do this angle, C is my vertex, so I could do angle A, C, R. I could also do an angle RCA, right? Okay, now if I go this way, this angle, it could be angle RCB. It could also be angle 1. Okay, and that would be this angle. So 2 different angles there. Remember how you can label them. The 3 ways are by its vertex, the 3 points, or the number. Okay, so with angles come different types of angles. And here are some common different types. So we have, let me move this, okay. Oops, hold on real quick. Okay, we have, the first one is an acute angle. An acute angle measures less than 90 degrees. Okay, remember 90 degrees makes a square like this, straight up and down. So an acute angle is smaller than 90 degrees. It's less. So you could see 90 degrees would be right here. This angle is smaller than 90 degrees. So we call that an acute angle. A right angle is exactly 90 degrees, not 89 degrees, not 91 degrees. Has to exactly be 90 degrees. Okay, and it will form that square or that corner. And the third type is an obtuse angle. And an obtuse angle measures greater than 90 degrees or more than 90 degrees. So you could see 90 degrees would be straight up and down right here. But this one is larger. Okay, so that's how I kind of always imagine it, is in my mind, let me grab my pen, I kind of draw where I think 90 degrees is, right? Okay, so that's smaller than 90 degrees, so it's acute. This one is larger, so it's obtuse. So which of these numbers is a measurement for an obtuse angle? We have 34 degrees, 96 degrees, 90 degrees, or 0 degrees. So try and remember, what is an obtuse angle? So we know it's not 90 degrees because that would be a right angle. We know it's not 0 degrees. So let's go back and look. An acute is less than 90. An obtuse is more than 90. So it would be 96. Good. Okay, so along with measuring measuring angles comes how to use a protractor. So this is what we call a protractor. And there's a lot of websites on our lesson hacks that you can go to virtually and play with the protractors and line them up and measure angles, or if you have one at home, you can practice as well. But here's how you want to do it, because if you don't do it the correct way, you're not going to get the right measurement. So number 1, you want to place the point of the protractor on the vertex of the angle. Remember, that vertex is where the 2 rays meet. So on the protractor, you're going to have a little hole or a point, and you want to line that up right on the vertex. Okay, then number 2, make sure that one side of the angle passes through 0 on the scale, because you want to start measuring from 0. So do you see how they put the protractor here? Because this line, so it's on the vertex and the line starts at 0. There's that 0 right there. And it's on both sides if you look. This goes from 0 to 180 at the top this way. This one goes 0 to 180 at the top that way. Okay, so one line goes through 0. Now you take the other one and you just read it like you would a ruler. So you just read where it intersects. And this one's exactly between 40 and 50. So this angle is 45 degrees. So you could see how it would be different if this line wasn't on 0, right? You would get a different measurement. So you got to make sure that you put the vertex here, line it up on 0, and then read the other angle. And it wouldn't be 135, right? It wouldn't be this number because that's greater than 90. And this is smaller than 90. So you have to make sure you record the correct number as well. Okay, so 45 degrees. And I encourage you guys to go ahead and play with those protractors. We'll do some in class as well, just to kind of get more familiar with them and how to measure angles. Okay, so let's go ahead and label each of these as acute, obtuse, or right. So let's look at number 1. What do you think number 1 is? Here would be a right angle. Yeah, so this one would be acute. Okay, number 2 has that square, which means it's a right angle. Let's look at number 3. There would be 90 degrees right here to form that square. And this is greater, it's bending down greater than 90 degrees, so it would be obtuse. And this one, oops, from the vertex, that would be 90 degrees, so it's smaller, so it would be acute. Okay, something else I want you to look at, you're going to see lots of lines like this, kind of a big picture, where they're going to ask you to read angles. So I want to kind of show you how to do this. This one says, what's another name for angle PDE? So what you do is you just find those letters. Okay, so here's P. Okay, and D is my vertex because it's in the middle. And then E. So my angle is right here. Now there's lots of other angles here. Look, I see this angle, I see this angle, lots of other angles, but the only one we're looking at is PDE. So if you look at this angle, what's another name for it? We could call it angle D. We could also call it angle EDP. Now, what type of angle is this? We're just looking right here, remember. So if you kind of have to turn it or kind of imagine it flipped, 90 degrees, remember again, would be, let me grab my pen. If it was coming straight down like this, right? So it's smaller than 90 degrees. So it would be an acute angle. Yeah, so don't be intimidated by all these letters and angles. Just kind of focus on the angle that they give you. All right, boys and girls, I encourage you to check out the lesson hacks. We have lots of good vocabulary information there, and the link for the protractor, digital protractor you can use. So check that out if you need more help.